Welcome to JKD Talks. Today's session will be about how to successfully blend different martial arts styles. For a brief introduction, my name is Joel Pollard. I am a Jeet Kune Do practitioner, and I've been doing martial arts for several years straight, and I am pretty well versed in several different styles. As we get started, please like, subscribe, and share this video to someone you think would like this video. So, how to correctly blend different martial arts styles. This is something that people have been trying to do for a very, very long time, especially since after the birth of mixed martial arts or MMA. I hear all the time from guys I train or guys that I'm trying to see if they want to learn JKD or other martial arts. They'll say stuff like, well, I do boxing and Wing Chun and karate, and I mix that in my own style. And inherently, that is not wrong. That is a good thing to do. But I hear it so often, people will just do other arts, combine it, and make their own system, failing to realize that it's already been done. That it's already been done by a much better martial artist and has more popularity than what they're trying to do. I see it's more of just habit that, a young martial artist wants to make something that's their own. That's their own thing, and that's good, and that's very good and natural. But everybody normally does it wrong. They just try to take the kicks from karate, do some boxing, and create their own system. Yet again, it's already been done, and to think that a person with 1 or 2 years of martial art experience can successfully make a new style and bring it into existence is really not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Like I said, from my experience, I've studied several styles, formally and informally by myself, and I've come to see that there are so many styles. It's really almost impossible to make something new or to make a new system that's not been heard of or something that's not been done. That's very, 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 very hard to do, and almost, I would even dare say, impossible. There's so many systems, so many good ones, so many bad ones, but most of them are good, and I will say that. Most of them are good, and most of them do work. But with that, there's just so many, it's hard to really make something that's not been done before, because yet again, someone better, smarter, has done it already. So it leads to the question of how should you go about mixing styles? Because yet again, it is still very important. Bruce Lee and Jeet Kune Do and even MMA has brought about the proof that it is very important and good to train other styles. Even the Vale-Tudo, there's so many things that have gone on this last century that show that, training other styles is really a really good idea. And two, if you take it a step further, the founders knew this. They weren't dumb. If you go back to really any system, any traditional system that has its roots in actual warfare, people actually using it to actually kill people, you'll see that pretty much every system has punching, kicking, grappling, and weaponry. You go to karate, punching, kicking, grappling, punching, kicking, grappling, weaponry. Kung Fu, punching, kicking, grappling, weaponry. That is combat. The founders weren't dumb. That's how combat works. When they did this stuff thousands of years ago, and this was to fight in wars to kill people with a sword, with a spear, katana, warriors knew we have to know how to do more than just use a sword. Because combat is not just on the stage, in the ring, in the boxing ring. It's not just sword or gun. It's sword, gun, knife, punch, elbow, bite, eye gouge. It's all of it. And so old styles have been doing this for a very, very long time. It's only in this modern era where we first almost got away from that. And with things like boxing and styles that really are good at one specific thing, people lost that trait of thought of, learning more than one skill set, learning stand-up and grappling, learning punching and kicking and elbowing in the clinch. People at one point forgot about that and got so focused on what they were doing and felt like that was the right thing. But it wasn't until people like Bruce Lee, very famous and very important, broke the mold and showed that combat is not just punching and kicking. It's all of it. And that if you are training for some sort of self-defense, you need to at least be somewhat well-versed or know something about each part, each distance in fighting, because you could end up in that. If you're a boxer, you can't end up on the ground. If you're a grappler, you're gonna start standing up. You're gonna have weapons. Weapons are always a possibility. Multiple opponents are always a possibility. So the thing is that being well versed, or at least to know somewhat of each range of fighting and what could happen, is very, very important, especially for self-defense. But yet again, so many guys, they just try to take a few techniques from one system, bring it to their own, and call it a new system. And it really doesn't work for a few reasons, because yet again, it's already been done before. But another thing is that so many systems are opposites. You have something like Wing Chun, very good art, center line, straightforward. Then you have something like Choi La Fut, the complete opposite of Wing Chun. Wide swinging motions, kicks and combinations, and it's totally different. Yet, people like Bruce Lee, famously yet again, he was able to actually use certain techniques and combine the two when he needed it. Dan Asano talked about how Bruce was very, very good at being able to flow into different arts and to make it work. And yet again, it's very hard for something like Choi La Fut and Wing Chun to work because they're opposites. So many styles are just opposites. You're not going to be able to make it work necessarily because the styles just don't go together. And then yet again, if you just take one technique, is that you really mixing the style? So the actual way to do this is by, yet again, I won't even take credit, Dan Asano says this all the time. He's awesome, I love him. You have to look at what is the essence of that system. And there's some Dan got from Bruce, and it's very, very good, and it makes sense. Rather than trying to combine Wing Chun and boxing, both very good arts, but are kind of opposites. Yet again, traditional Wing Chun is flat-footed, on center line, you're grounded, you're rooted. Boxing, moving around, throwing jab, hook, not really. There is center line to that as well, but you're throwing hooks as well, overhands, totally different. But if you rather take the essence and ask yourself, what is the essence of this art? AKA, what are the most important concepts and principles this art does correctly? What is this art known for? What does this art do really good? If you take that and ask, okay, what's the essence of boxing? Right? Great footwork, good mobility, head movement, combination punching. That pretty much sums it up. You can take that and add that to your Wing Chun. Now you can add the footwork in the Wing Chun. So now your style, yet again, it looks kind of like Wing Chun, but it looks different because the movement, now you start to be able to mix it successfully. But trying to just do boxing and add one Wing Chun technique might not really going to help you. But rather take the essence. Like for me in my sparring, I'll say me as an example. When I am, hands and feet sparring, punching and kicking, more like kickboxing. My movement is very like Savate boxing-esque because in boxing and Savate, footwork and mobility are very, very good. Yet if you go to the clinch, let's say we're in the clinch, my clinch looks more like a Wing Chun and Thai boxer. Yet again, two different things. But again, I ask myself, well, what is like the essence of Thai boxing? What is Thai boxing really good at? In my opinion, Thai boxers aren't really the best on the outside. In my opinion, mobility is very, very important in fighting and sparring. If you can move, move. If you have footwork, use it. Like that is so important, especially for defense and offense. You need mobility, you need footwork. And most Thai fighters that I've sparred and that I've seen, their outside game is it's okay, they're going to use the foot jab, the teep, they're going to use some basic boxing. And, they're going to use that leg kick or that roundhouse. But mobility, in my opinion, is better on the outside of range. So for me, the essence of Thai boxing, what they do really good is the clinch. That the clinch is solid, their elbows, their knees, their sweeps, all great, great stuff. So I took, yet again, very inspiration from boxing, savate, other good arts, kickboxing, and added the movement from the outside range of more savate or kickboxing or boxing, using footwork, moving, seeing angles. But once I get in the clinch, that's when I use the Thai boxing elements because it's very good. Because I know that, in my opinion, if I can knee and elbow the guy, Thai boxing is going to be better than boxing in the clinch. I mean, it teaches you a lot, has sweep and balance, and it's very, very good. Then don't even mention something like lift away or Burmese boxing where you can use headbutts. I mean, another tool of the arsenal. So the better thing to do is to ask what's the essence of the art, or even easier, what is the art really good at? And then take those pros and add it to your system, your style. This is exactly what Bruce did in the 60s. He studied all the known styles, trained with the best guys to see what works, what doesn't work, and would ask, what does the style do really good at? And what does the style do really bad at? Because now it helps gauge weaknesses. So that's why in the beginning, everyone knows that, the first early JKD was more of, boxing, Wing Chun, fencing. Everyone knows that. Fencing is I totally forgot to even say that. Fencing is like a very big part of my outside game because the footwork is awesome. I even changed the stance to match more of a fencer because the footwork in fencing is awesome. That is another good thing. That is a very, very big thing. Mobility is very important. And with fencing footwork, you're able to get out the way very fast and close in very fast. So things like that, being able to ask yourself, what does this art do very good at? Joelpollardjkd. For instance, there's a big swinging motions, a lot of swinging. And now some people, myself included, would say, oh, well, swinging's not that good. You can get intercepted, you can get hit. It's easy to see. But what are the pros to swinging? It's very easy to generate power. So looking at that, you can take something like Joelpollardjkd itself and add the essence to your system by knowing when to use certain swings to generate power. Yet again, knowing when to use it, when not to. Swinging is never a good idea to do on the first beat. If you're going to close on somebody, if you're going to hit first, or that first initial attack, you should never swing. You should never throw a big round kick. It should always be something straight, line, straight, direct. But let's say you hit the guy already in the face, he's leaning back. Now that swing would work very good and you can knock him out. So it's all about asking yourself, rather than just taking a few techniques or just say, oh, I do boxing and karate and I'm going to add it together and make my own. Ask yourself, what does the system do really good? Or what is the essence of the system? Savate, very great system, very underrated, very unorthodox. If I were to ask what's the essence of savate, I would say the precision kicks, the mobility and footwork, the unorthodox kicks, and to be able to have combinations with the kicks. That is the essence. So yet again, I take that with my kicking. I'm originally for kicks, I am a Taekwondo, Wushu background type of person. And those kicks, and Wushu and Taekwondo are the best of the best. Like, best of the best. I think Taekwondo, Savate, and Wushu have the best kicks. But what Wushu and Taekwondo don't really show you is how to use the combinations with the same kick. How to go from a crescent to then a leg obstruction or kick to the knee. It's very, very good stuff. How to go from like a low kick up to a side kick. Very, very precise kicking that Savate does. And I take that and use it with my sparring and it works very well. It works very well. And so it's taking that, and yet again, I'm not taking the entirety of Savate because with every system, there are flaws, there are weaknesses, there are cons with every system. So it's about asking what the system does very well and seeing how you can take that into your own system, into your own style. That is what you should do. That way, you're not just redoing your whole system and trying to, just throw away everything, but you're taking the best aspects of it. Because in reality, the techniques don't really matter. It's the concepts and principles that make the technique work. So that's a very big thing. So the concept I could say behind Savate is the concept of flowing. Flowing your attacks is a very, very big important concept in fighting. That when you attack somebody, they better flow. Your attacks better flow, roll off. Most important, most good martial arts do this. Boxing. Their combinations flow very good. Savate. Their kicking combinations flow very good. Most Kung Fu styles, like let's say Wing Chun, yet again, their combinations flow together very good. Because when you're attacking someone, you don't want to have these blocky, choppy 1, 2 hits. You want it to all flow together. So that's the easy concept to understand. Flowing. That's what makes these techniques work. And so by asking what's the essence or what this art is good at, you're able to take the best of it and figure out how to add it into your own system. Because yet again, each art, they're very good, but they also work in a range. They only work in a range they're used to. For boxing instance, it's that punching range right at the end of their jab. That's boxing range, and the boxers are very good at. Once you're outside of that range, that's kicking range. If you fight a good kicker, he's going to kick you and it's going to work. Don't let it be a Thai fighter. Don't let it be a Savate guy kicking the knee. It's very effective. Boxers are not used to that long outside range. They're used to that range right at the end of their punches. Yet again, too, boxers are not used to that clinch tight range because what they're taught, overhook, underhook, and rest or overhook, underhook, and just hit at the body a little bit to get points. Versus they do that to a Thai fighter, they're going to get swept on the floor, they're going to get kneed, and all this other stuff. It's not going to work. So each system has a range at which it's best at. So yet again, it's important to see what ranges work for each system and to realize Wing Chun is not going to work good on the outside range. It's not. It wasn't made for that. It's made for close. And by other definition, Savate is not going to be that best in the close range. That's where a grappling art or a clinch art would be very well at. Same for any art. So I hope that helped with you trying to understand how to blend your systems, is to take the essence and to ask yourself, what does this art do really good at? And what range does this art do really well in? And with that, I'm sure you do very well. If you like this video, or if you want to learn JKD or what I teach and what I practice, then click the link in this video, the link in the description. You're gonna find my course is only $10. Click to join right now. It's not gonna be $10 for long, but more importantly, if you like this video, please share it with a fellow martial artist. And with that out the way, I will see you in the next video. Peace. Keep training.